Hello and welcome to a VSA video. I'm Ollie O'Donnell and I'm very pleased to be welcoming back Tom Lamb, CEO of Myriad Uranium. Thanks for joining us, Tom, for the update. How are things?
You're good, Ollie. It's good to see you. Yeah, no, things are all right. Can feel the energy coming back into uranium after just a little bit of a breather, and uh, and we're active as a company, and so that's fun and exciting.
Yeah, excellent. Well, look, there's no surprise that there was some profit taking after the longer rally came from the teens up to over $100 a pound. So I think people are allowed to take some profits. But we're here to talk about Myriad, and Myriad had some big news out in March, which probably changes quite a lot for your outlook for 2024 and the work that you're going to do. So
That's right.
this all seemed to focus on a new data set that you're processing
Yeah.
from people who've worked on the property historically. So, well, firstly, how did you get hold of this data set? Because it wasn't part of the acquisition.
That's right. So we did the deal. Your viewers will recall, you'll recall that we did the deal, and around that time, our deal partner's CEO Pete Smith acquired a big data trove, and then since then we have in at irregular random intervals we've uh, been acquiring other chunks of data, including drill logs, things from archives, just some technical people that used to work on the project. And so uh, one of these batches of data, and I can't remember exactly where it's from, but uh, it was 80 some odd really detailed drill logs uh, that were uh, really developed so that they Anaconda, I can't remember the name of the company exactly. It was Anaconda Uranium or Anaconda Inc. in the 1990s took this raw data and they uh, charted it all out in a way that is extremely useful. And um, and we have it, and uh, we put it into our systems and analyzed it carefully, and talked about it in a news release a few weeks ago. A really exciting news release. So what's neat about this is that when we first reviewed the Union Pacific data from the 1970s and up to 1980, we didn't see any of it in there. Um, the was looking at by looking at the Anaconda data from the 1990s, where there's a little period 1996, 97 when the price of uranium spiked just a little. Obviously, juniors react to that. Anaconda went in quickly. We think acquired some of the license area, got some of the key data, and analyzed it, and that's what we've discussed in that news release. It relates to about 85 drill holes in a key part of the center of our license, and and uh, yeah, it's very exciting. So I look forward to telling everybody about it.
Yeah, there's lots of buzzwords in it: high grade zone, area of special interest.
Yeah,
Um, what do these words and phrases mean? And
sure.
also, can you give some regional context? Because obviously high grade in Wyoming is quite different to Athabasca and also what you're looking at in Niger. But Wyoming is the US's top domestic producer of uranium. So
Yep. So grade is uh, grade is important in all in the whole mineral sector generally, but in uranium, it's a different thing to some degree. Yes, Athabasca is super high grades, but you do have to go down hundreds and hundreds of meters, and it's complicated to get at and remote, etc. These are um, Wyoming grades tend to be in the three 400 to 1,000 ppm, and you can get up into between 1,000 and 2,000 ppm in some cases. Um, and so it is fairly low grade, but if it's ISR, it can be very economic to get at, and if it's conventional mining, can also, like in our case, so our project may be ISR amenable, but if it's ends up being conventional mining as Union Pacific planned, it can also be very economic. So grades in Wyoming are in the high hundreds, often, 400 to 900 ppm, 1000 ppm. So the just thought I'd mention that. Union Pacific had a 3-pit mine plan for our Copper Mountain project. Till about 1980, they were developing a low to medium grade at surface bulk mine plan that was going to be economic. But as prices were falling, it became marginal, but 3 Mile Island, et cetera. And so that is what they were looking at. The center of the central area of the central pit is the big high grade area of the whole Copper Mountain project area, as Union Pacific had understood in 1980 anyway. Things have evolved a bit. And this special area, or area of special interest, is a section at the top of the main ore body in the central pit. And I guess what Anaconda did is they selected this area, this special area, because it mostly contains high grade that was in the pit, and it contains some faults and structures that are key to understanding the whole project area, and it contained transition to the lower grade that surrounded the high grade. And so we now understand that this is really the key to understanding maybe the whole project area. And very interesting. Let's call it 85 holes. I can't remember exactly how many boreholes that related to, but a huge percentage of them, it turns out, intersected high-grade uranium. This is well up into the high hundreds, thousands of ppm, 2,000 ppm, all the way up into the mid 3,000 ppm range. This is very high grade for Wyoming. There's a lot of it. What we've figured out, and what Anaconda obviously understood before they had to abandon due to falling uranium prices, is that there are faults that are more or less vertical that run through the project area, and Canning deposit, the central deposit that was going to be the central pit. These are vertical faults that are very high grade, and Union Pacific in the 1970s wasn't really concerned with them, it seems. But if you now, as Anaconda learned, and as we have now learned, if you focus on them, it may be that you could follow these throughout the project area, and instead of just drilling out low grade, disseminated bulk low grade uranium across the project area, you could just focus on the high grade areas, follow the faults, and go deeper. Union never drilled deeper than 500 feet, maybe a couple of feet, a little bit deeper than that. But these faults just keep going down. It may be that the high grade just continues down and down. That's perfect. So we've got a sort of the key to the project, maybe, thanks to this data. It's exciting.
And some of the other other projects in Wyoming, as you say, they're sort of 0.1%, 1,000
That's right.
ppm. They are, in terms of compliant resources, they seem to be around the sort of 10 million pound mark. Where are you able to say, based on the historic data, a sort of ballpark that you might be in from the wider project that was defined, and also this high grade zone?
um, 43101 and our geologist who wants us to be conservative, et cetera. We have to, we're supposed to be cautious about talking about amounts of uranium. However, we think we have one of the biggest projects in Wyoming. Out of this, we have a lot of uranium. This 15 million pound resource number that Union Pacific estimated in around 1979, 1980 is very conservative. It did not focus on the high grade. It included just a lot of the low grade areas that were economic for them back then to mining. But that 15 million number included a discount of about 40% from the probe values that they were otherwise getting because they wanted to use a very conservative approach. This is a delayed fission neutron approach. If you are a little more optimistic, and some including our experts say that actually maybe you don't need to be so conservative for various reasons. People can get into if they want to get into our technical documents. Maybe the number's significantly higher than that, in fact. And this takes into account also the low grade, et cetera. So the range is 15 to 30 million pounds is what Union Pacific estimated. They also had a high-end number, a target number of 63.8 million pounds. And it's a little bit different than an exploration target these days, which public companies, public juniors use to kind of promote themselves. We have an explorer, our target's 10 million pounds. You see that a lot in Wyoming with the juniors. But I believe that that's a more robust number. That's an internal engineering number for Union Pacific. This is not a public company trying to promote itself, the public. So 63.8 as an exploration target. And we see what's going on here now with that, and we think it could go beyond that. If you focus on the high grade and you understand the structures and you can go deeper as the faults go deeper, if we think there's really good opportunity to, now with this insight and this Anaconda data, to get on the high end of the estimates and then grow them significantly and increase the grade significantly, and by doing that, increase the volumes. And back to your question, the Lance project, this is Peninsula's Lance project, is around 50 something million pounds. Now they're only focused on a fraction of that. So, how you want to break these things up matters into, hub and spoke kind of approaches to the mining there. But even at 15 to 30 million pounds, and if we start moving up towards a target of 63.8 as we go, this is right up there as one of the biggest projects in Wyoming.
Pretty exciting, but that, I think, brings us on nicely to the plans that you've got for 2024. You raised $750,000 Canadian towards the end of last year, so you probably aren't going to have be able to do a huge amount of work on the ground with that, but subject to financing. What will the next milestones be? Presumably this data set has actually saved you a lot of cost and effort.
Yeah.
So what would you like to go out and do with the knowledge that you've gained from this data set?
Okay, I just will remind everybody, when we cut this deal and signed the letter of intent, all we knew about the project was that there's past production, 500,000 pounds at a reasonable grade. I think it was 1.3%. Arrowhead mine in the center of our license area. And the engineering report or technical report said, go out and find either data, historic data, which we're doing, or you're going to have to start a maiden drill program. So that's what we understood. Okay, we entered into the deal. Then we found all this data, and we found that Union Pacific Railway did, in today's dollars, 74 million US in 2023 dollars worth of work. So it's just to refresh everybody, 2,000 drill holes, discovered 6 deposits, other producing historic production in the area in the 1950s, and then estimated these resources of 15 to 30 million pounds and up to 63.8 million pounds. So we went from signing a deal where we didn't really know what we had to this, which is one of the largest projects in Wyoming potentially. So we've, like you say, and then the data keeps coming. We have this Anaconda, again, open the Ark of the Covenant, it glows. We've got this amazing insight into the project. So this takes us into a whole new realm of what you do. Instead of just drilling a few holes like our peers, looking for, we are now almost a developer. Probably, I don't know if it's a problem for me to say that, but we've got, we just have to bring the resources current. So to answer your question, we have historic resources. We have to bring them current, and maybe we'll do it bit by bit. So we raise that money. We still have $500,000 plus in the treasury. Of course, that won't go far with drilling. So we're going to raise some money, and we're going to go back, and our geologist will be on the ground in a couple of weeks. We're going to find all the old boreholes. A lot of them are there and they're capped with cement. We'll uncover them, see if we can drop our own probes down some of them. We only have to do a fraction of the historic holes to certify and confirm them all, or wherever we want to do that. So we're going to uncap holes, see whether we can drop our own probes down. We're going to have to do some of our own drilling. Some of it's going to be diamond drilling. Otherwise, we'll drill our own boreholes and put our own probes down. How much of that do we do? That's the question. How much do we need to do? So that the answer is somewhere between, $1 million and $5 million worth of work. Do we do that in stages, or do we try to sort of raise a lot of money all at once and kind of go for it? It's to be confirmed. Our geologist will be there again in a couple of weeks, and we'll make a plan and go from there. We can do a huge amount for $1.5 million. We're confident of that. That'll include some geophysics, some surface work, and drilling. And it may be that we can bring a chunk of our historic resource current with that. That is the plan. But how ambitious we are, maybe we get started, then partway through the summer we raise more money. So we'll raise some money soon, by the way. And then maybe partway through the summer we'll raise some more, and depending. That's the plan.
And longer term, there is still blue sky potential, isn't there? Because this data set doesn't cover the entire license area.
Neutron Energy, which is now part of Encore, so let's call it Encore Energy, held half of our license area, and Strathmore, a predecessor of the current Strathmore and all the F companies, F3, F Fission, etc. They each held part of our license area in around 2007 to 2011, and we have some of their internal documents, especially Neutron's, Encore's documents, and they lay out a plan to explore the district, which we more or less hold. And yes, big blue sky. I mean, that was okay. It's always great to have a big resource in place, which we have, historic, that was about to be a mine, and his past production. All those things obviously are great and easy to separate. We have, but on top of it, as you say, these, Neutron's assessment of the historic data package they had, one of their first pages of their document says this could have a couple 100 million pounds of uranium, this area. And there are reasons to think that. Second, there are reasons to think it could be because unconformity style structures are present. Could be even Athabasca-like. It's a bit of a hyperbolic way to talk about it for Wyoming, but we have something that others don't. They're all sandstone roll front deposits being mined ISR. We have these all sorts of interesting things going on. So potential for really big upside. Jim Davis, who managed Union Pacific's exploration in the 1970s, and also consulted to Neutron, and is on our technical committee now. His past views and current views are that there's really big potential for big discoveries still in our district. Union Pacific only went down 500 feet, and they were not looking for the big high-grade deposits that we look for now. They were just very happy to drill out in a grid their bulk low to medium grade deposits just for high volume surface mining.
Yeah. Well,
so a lot of upside here.
Two important points. That firstly, you're the first group to put all of these projects together into one larger play, but also that the resources or the mineralization that you're looking at is indeed very shallow. So clearly a lot of exciting work to come for the rest of this year, and the data set you found has catapulted you further forward. Niger is obviously very much on the back burner, given how much progress you're making in Wyoming. But there was an update from the military junta there last week. So have you got a brief update for the Niger operations?
So we follow, obviously we follow it closely. It's more of just going to keep an eye on it. Not quite sure what to make of it, whether it's a bit of a negotiating tactic or a miscommunication. What's going on behind the scenes. All of it is a little bit through a glass darkly kind of situation. I follow, as everybody should, what Global Atomic and GoviEx have to say about it. They've been there a long time. Stephen Roman and Daniel Major understand the country and the situation much better than I think ever will. So I really follow what they have to say. And I think the answers at the moment don't quite know. I'm hoping for a really good update from our group in the next few days. Obviously, we hope the Americans and the Nigerian government sort this out, and Americans get to stay, because it's would not be great for Westerners if it was just the Russians, Chinese, and maybe Iranians in there. So, but I'm optimistic, and so important that America keeps a base there. It's the it's important for everybody. So let's wait and see.
Okay. Well, look, Tom, thanks for coming on and speaking to us again. It sounds like there's some really exciting stuff to happen for Myriad this year. So we look forward to the next update, and all the best.
Ollie, could I add one more thing?
Of course.
And that is just that just to back up, in 2008, 2009, 2010, Encore, or Neutron, Encore got absorbed into Neutron somehow, owned half of what is the center of our pit, and half of this special area that we were just talking about earlier. And Strathmore owned the other half. And really interesting to see about what they had to say about each other, and that this is the center of the central pit, and they each owned a half back in the last cycle. We love that we own it all. We've got it. And they were talking about how they needed to get the other company's half. They never did. But we've got it. So I just want to leave that point with your viewers. We only have a $11 million market cap, and we are all looking at each other on our end going, this is, the upside and the torque here is coming. It's a really exciting situation for Myriad. So it's all going to happen. The weighing machine will come, and things are going to really change for us. It's exciting times, just at the bottom of the hockey stick for us. I just want to leave your viewers with that. Take a look,
Excellent.
everybody. Yeah.
Well, let's hope so. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks a lot, Ollie.